Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 321. Hope you're amazing as always. Do you know what I just thought? 321. That's a cool number. That's a cool episode number, right? Hope you're amazing. Hope life is beautiful. Crazy times, but it doesn't mean you have to be crazy. Do you know? And if you're feeling stressed right now or a little bit overwhelmed or whatever the heck is going on, I always want you to remember one thing. You listening? You listening? I just want you to remember this one thing. Every day allows you to make a new decision. That new decision could be anything that you choose. And what do I mean by that, right? Every single thing is one decision. Different, right? One decision away. And what that means is that literally you could wake up this morning and go, you know what? Stuff life. I'm going to hang out in bed all day. Now there's consequences to it, but you can. That is a decision. You can decide to eat McDonald's 365 days a year, you know? There's consequences to that. There's also decisions to be happy. It is a decision. Now, is it easy? No. Is it simple? Kinda. I can show you some systems around it, how to flood the brain with serotonin. But at the end of the day, it is a decision. Decision to travel, to be anywhere in the world that you choose right now, is a decision. You might go, no, it's not, Andy, because of everything that's going on. Yeah, there is a decision. You could, if you really wanted something, if you really wanted it, no matter what, even in Australia, there's ways to do it, right? If your life was on the line, if you didn't get to that country, you'd work out a way. It's the same with business. Everything is one decision away. For you to be able to be stuck where you are, frustrated, or kicking ass and keep on kicking ass, then what that means is either way, it's a decision. You have micro decisions which form to micro habits, which form to habits. And when you start to understand that every little micro decision that we're making throughout the day builds a bigger pattern in our brain, more software, more neural nets, more chemical responses the way we want it to be. So what am I here to say? Everything is one decision away. So you can decide how you want to listen to this episode. You can. You can decide to feel frustrated, stuck, or you could be open now and see things differently. Does it make sense? Good. Hopefully that helps somebody out there. Hopefully you got a little bit of insight because you're listening to this for a reason. And that reason could be you just needed that little pick-me-up. Or you right now might be making a massive decision in your life. You might be really changing careers and life. And that's a beautiful place to be in. So many people get scared of that. Scared of the unknown. Scared of the difference. Scared of what they can't see or haven't experienced yet. Talking about one decision, what would happen if that decision was a different one? What would happen if that decision was to simply step into the unknown and being excited? Do you know what I mean? Think about all the things in your life right now that you're having resistance around. What would happen if no longer you had resistance and instead you only had happiness and flow? Think about that. Would that be different? Would you experience the world differently? Would you get more sales? Would you launch that business? Would you do whatever it takes to get where you want to go? Because when we look deep inside, you're doing this for a reason. I don't know of any human, if they had the choice, that they'd always have a lot of money pumping in. Say you had 50 grand pumping in every month and you had the choice to work or not. Most people would be hanging out with family, traveling, doing life, enjoying themselves, right? So what would happen if that became your mission, right? Or if your mission was to really help 1 million people, or your mission was to create massive impact and change in the world, then that decision that you're making every single day becomes a simple one, doesn't it? Right? Think about it. It becomes a simple one because the fire that's inside of you is constantly burning. That fire that's inside of you is taking you to a destination. That fire inside of you is what that wakes you up, gets you excited, gets you motivated. And at the end of the day, all we're supposed to be is happy. All we're supposed to do is live in our intuition and follow our guidance to where we know we're supposed to be. Whether that's launching a brand new concept, whether that's selling a company doing an exit strategy for $1 billion, whether that's you launching your next product, service, or discovering how you can tune your brain up to a whole different level and see the world a different way, which means your business scales from 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9 plus. That's what I've done for many years with people, and including myself. And I want you to have the same experience now. Sound good? Awesome. Well, little rant for the start you off for the day, but hopefully that helped you. Today's episode's an interesting one. It's a little bit different, and I don't usually speak about these type of topics, and I definitely don't make it usually this simple and basic, right? But people need to hear this now, and people need to understand, because there's so much change in the world. It could be a physical business, online business. So many people are transitioning from physical to online businesses. And I just want to make sure that if you're doing that, I want to make sure that you understand what you're getting into, right? Because I've seen so many people think that, oh, physical business, oh, that's real difficult. You're moving stock, you're doing this, you're dealing with that. And then they go, oh, online, well, that's simple because no, it's not. It's just as crazy. It's just as crazy. So you have to understand that that fire inside of you that I spoke about before, do you see how we're coming around in a loop now? Yeah, you got it. So that fire that's inside of you and that passion and that vision is the thing that's going to keep you driving forwards no matter what, because crazy shit's going to happen. It is, man. No matter what, crazy shit's going to happen. So you've got to become bulletproof. You've got to have your mindset by design so dialed in. You've got to have all the tools to be interrupt patterns, change focus in the moment, change emotion in the moment, step into a peak state at will, right? Understand that the images in your brain, well, they should be already installed so money looks and feels a certain way. Your outcome of your business or this project looks and feels a certain way. You know, your network, your hiring, your communication, your belief system, your ability to control stress and anxiety, all of that needs to be dialed in, right? But hey, lots of people just buy a logical course and learn the tactics and skills. But I've seen it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And you're never going to get to the level of success unless you have the skill set and the mindset dialed in. Make sense? I thought it might make sense. And that's what today's topic's about. Why businesses fail, right? Because they do. And it's nothing to do with the business. Surprise, surprise, right? Your business grows or your business dies for one reason. It dies because of you, right? It doesn't matter what circumstances you think are being created. It's about pivoting. And we're going to get into all of that. And speaking of getting into it, I hope you're paying attention because you're going to have a ton of new links coming up in the show notes. And you're going to have a ton of new links everywhere. But I hope you're starting off the right way, because step one, if you're ready, not everybody is, and this might not be for you, right? You listen to this podcast for a reason, so I hope it is for you. But I hope that you have your mornings dialed in like no one's teaching you. I hope they are. I hope your mornings are amazing. And that means your day is going to be incredible. And I want that to be every single day. Is it you? Maybe, maybe not. We need a bit of fine tuning, right? So what I created was an audio that's going to drop your brainwaves into alpha and below. And what I'm going to do is tune your visual components up in your head. Remember, the language of the brain is your visual components. So once we tune them up to see you in an incredible way, to see your business, life, money, success, the day in an incredible way, the emotion in an incredible way, what do you think's more likely going to happen? It's right. You got it, right? So you can grab your Fire Mind Morning free. Yeah, free right now. You can grab it free right now. So why don't you do that now? right? So easily done. Go to firemind.me or go to andymurphy.online. Either way, you can grab that for free. More of a reader? Want to know what these brainwaves are all about and how to get control of your state? Well, you have an incredible opportunity, and the opportunity is a book. Yeah, it's a book. It's a badass book. It's called Total Control Blueprint. Yeah, the Total Control Blueprint. And it's to show you how to stop grinding, which has become a cultural norm, right? But it's how to stop grinding and step into flow instantly instead. If that sounds good, good, head over to andymurphy.online and get your copy now before it jumps onto Amazon. Yeah, it's free. And besides that, we got so many other things coming out. We got Project Limitless. Yes, just getting ready to launch. It's going to be badass. Project Limitless is definitely something you want to be a part of. If you scroll back and you find episodes with me and Dean's my business partner in this, just go and listen to those episodes. If you like it, click on the show notes, and that means you'll have a link to Project Limitless Facebook group where we're going to share all the awesome things that are coming up, including the Limitless Day. What else have we got? Well, we've got I've been asked so long about this. We've got the relaunch coming up of the 8-Figure Thinker Mental Training Academy. And what does that mean? That means we're going to train your brain up over 8 incredible in-depth levels so you have all the skills internally that are missing, right? There's a reason why an 8-figure earner thinks that way. And I want to give you a whole system course that is going to dial your brain in to make all of that happen. And you know what? I truly believe it's the most advanced, in-depth mental training system for entrepreneurs on the planet. Bar none. I'll put it up against anyone, right? And it's going to win. You'll see. So the 8-Figure Thinker Mental Academy is coming out very, very soon. So pay attention to that. What else we got? I got some other cool stuff happening. Yes, I do. So besides the Project Limitless, besides the 8-Figure Thinker, we have the Genius Trader Club. So if you are a crypto, forex, stockbroker, or trader, day trader, whatever it is, you need to pay attention. That's getting launched ASAP. We're just finishing off the final touches, and there you are. So look at all those cool things coming out. And do you know what else? It's just one more thing. And I shouldn't really say it because I'm kind of full, but I will. If you are earning $1 million or above, or you are earning, say, $500,000 or above, what that means is we need to grow you. We need to take you to a whole new level. And what that means is you can work with me one-on-one. So if you're a founder of any capacity, a CEO, you're doing any industry, it doesn't matter, but you know you want to make your brain bulletproof and have that limitless pill thinking, then you need to work with me personally or jump into one of my programs, whether it's mastermind, whatever it is. But you need to have a chat with me. So you can go to andymurphyonline.online and you can click on mentoring, fill the application in, come and have a chat. Come and have a chat with me and let's see what we can do together. Sound good? Awesome. So, what are you doing? You still listening to me? What are you doing? Click on those show notes and go and find what level is right for you. And make sure that you're hanging out with me in the Facebook group, hanging out on LinkedIn, definitely Instagram. I'm giving that a little push right now. And we've got so many cool trainings, so many cool things coming up. And I just want you to be there. Why? Because one of them might be the golden nugget that changes your whole life. Sound good? Beautiful. So let's jump into this episode. Why do businesses fail? Well, we're going to go and find out. So I'll see you at the end of the show. Okay, crew, so let's settle in. Do you know what? I'm going to there's lots of different ways I'm going to do this, but one of the things I want to bring up straight away is a crazy stat, right? About, just about online businesses. Listen to this stat. It's wild. We all know the reason why everybody wants to start an online business, right? Do I need to go into it? Do I? It's so weird because I just fell into doing this. Why? Because I made a decision a long time ago that I wasn't going to let anyone be in control of my income stream ever again, including business partners, including employees. Wasn't going to happen. 2, I set a goal for myself when I was actually going through a nervous breakdown and bankruptcy in New Zealand after getting ripped off by my business partner putting together a $100 million resort in Fiji when I was 27. Yeah, you probably know my story. So what was wild about that is I set a goal for myself to be able to work from my laptop. I didn't know how at the time, but work from my laptop, travel wherever I want to be in the world, work from wherever I choose in the world, and earn great money. Back then, it was $1,000 sitting by the beach from my laptop. That was the goal. We achieved these things. So what that means is that we know the reasons, right? Freedom, flexibility, being able to work in your pajamas, right? Your office is 30 seconds away inside of your house. Being able to travel wherever you want to be, set up shop wherever you choose, right? If you want a day off, you can have it, right? You don't have to ask permission to go on vacation or holiday. It's your business. I can't even remember what that would feel like. It's wild. So if that's you right now and you're getting frustrated at being confined by your bosses, then you might have already started down this path. And if you have started down this path, then hey, we need to make sure we get your brain dialed in, because the pressure, the hassle, the overwhelm, the excitement will fluctuate. So we need to make sure that you're dialed in. But listen to this stat. Some studies have shown that 90% of online businesses fail within the first, what am I going to say? 18 months? No, first 4 months of operation. Think about this, right? Think about that 10% of people that actually become successful. Crazy wild, right? Crazy wild stat. That blew my mind. It really did. And when we start looking at those things, it makes you really, if you've got a business that's doing well, then guess what it means? It means that, you're in that top 10%. So congratulate yourself straight away, right? But we're going to go through the ones that come up in my head, and I'm pulling them off from a few different sources. But just understand this for a start, right? The biggest thing I really think that, besides obviously your brain has to be dialed in to be able to step into a 2-hour block of time and be able to drop into flow state and just be able to download the information out your head and just be able to flow. And it all starts with a vision. A vision of your life, sure, a vision of who you've got to be, absolutely, but a vision of the business and the impact you want to create, you know? So most people mess up because they're trying to sell a concept that they like to somebody else. Does that make sense? So this is number 1. Let's start there. Number 1. Little drum roll. Boom. That's it, right? So stop trying to sell a product or service that you require to somebody else, because they might not. So do you know your industry? Do you know your industry? Before you start, have you got incredibly clear? Now, this is marketing stuff, but I'm going to go through it. And it's marketing stuff that I usually wouldn't cover in the slightest. But there's many areas of being an entrepreneur, and the mental side is it's near enough everything. But the tactical side you still need to become aware of, right? So the biggest thing that I start with is this, right? It's stop selling to yourself and understand that you can't be rigid. Things have changed, what was selling necessarily before the COVID a couple of years ago now, which is wild, right? 18 months. It's might not be selling anymore, right? It might not be. Like, for example, global hotels. Are they doing as good as they were before the pandemic? I'd say the answer is no. It's not. But guess what you find? You find some areas that really are. Like Florida's booming, right? It is. And so you have these pockets around the US and around the world that are doing well, but in majority, they're not doing well. So what was working well before doesn't necessarily mean it is now. So what we've got to have is something I call behavioral flexibility. I'll say it again, behavioral flexibility. One more time. Behavioral flexibility. You've got to be able to adapt. Bruce Lee's quote, I love it, right? Be like water. Water can flow, water can crash. Be like water. So adapt to whatever's going on. And if you decide that your audience has changed, then change with it. Or is there something about your audience that they're now focused on that you weren't focusing on before, but now they need it because their desire has changed, or their need has changed, or their pain has changed? Does this make sense? So get real clear on your business's identity. Get real clear on what you're here to do. And I don't necessarily mean chunking down into a micro niche or a niche or a niche, if you're from my neck of the woods, my world. You can. But at the end of the day, Porsche sells Porsches, right? Ferrari sells Ferraris. They have different types, but we know the brand. We know Nike, we know Ferrari, right? We know Apple. Apple has many different products and services, so do all of these other brands. So we have to build that identity. Mindset by Design was created many years ago now, many years ago. But the truth is, that's what it wanted to be. It's actually being able to sit down and mentally design what you want in your business, what you're offering, what is actually desirable to the audience that you're selling now, right? So what is the offering? Why is it desirable? Who is my customer? Do you know them inside out, right? What does it benefit them? What's the point in them getting your course, right? Ferrari, right? What's the benefit of a Ferrari? Well, you drive really, really fast, look really, really cool, or douchebaggy, or one or the other, right? But either way, you're going to get lots of eyeballs looking at you. And if that's what you want, then guess what? That's exactly what Ferrari wants. Ferrari wants people to look at Ferraris. Why? Because they want to go, ooh, I desire that. And so, how does it benefit them? And what are your long-term goals? What's the vision for the business? It's often the vision for the business is, I want to earn 100 grand, 500 grand, $2 million, right? I want to do this. I want to help 1,000 people, 400 people, one person, whatever it is. At the end of the day, that's great. But is that it? Is it just about taking off numbers with people? Shouldn't be, right? It should be there to create impact at some degree. Does that make sense? So hopefully that will make sense, because those things give you absolute confidence in moving forwards, having that behavioral flexibility and constantly being in development mode. It's like an artist. Business is like artistry. Does that make sense? Number 2. Little drum roll again, eh? So many different concepts, right? It's so many, and I'm not going to give you them all today, but this one is kind of important. Novelty. I'll say that word again, novelty. I'll say it one more time. I don't know why I'm doing this today, but novelty, right? People like novelty. People like new. People want to be entertained. People want the most cutting edge, latest and greatest thing, right? Why do people want Apple phones? Or, why? Why are you upgrading constantly? Maybe not you, but someone you know, right? But why are people upgrading constantly for a better camera? It's a fucking phone, right? But everyone uses the camera, and that's not a bad thing. But when they upgrade one little thing on it and then make you pay $1,000+, do you think that's a little crazy? Yeah, that's a little crazy. Do you understand that? That's as much as people paying for their laptops, but the phones are the same price. To me, they look a little different. That looks more tech and robustness in a laptop than a phone. But the desire for the phone is way more than the laptop. Everyone's got the laptop, but the laptop doesn't have the latest and greatest little gadgets on it. Make sense? So when you start to understand that the brain or a buyer requires novelty or new, or this is why it's limited, this is why it's cutting edge, this is why it's the latest and greatest, this is why this doctor just said this, right? It's also created dopamine and adrenaline spikes in the brain to be able to people to make immediate action, right? So they take action. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point. So when you look at your brand, are you just being like everybody else? Are you being like everybody else? Never mind your brand, right? Are you just following everyone else and just doing what it is, right? I remember, and you've got to find your medium. It's where you feel natural. It's so funny. I remember this dude, the psychologist for the entrepreneur, right? Douchebag, absolute idiot, right? I'm not saying he's not good at his craft, but his ego is absolutely through the roof. And he thought he was so cool. And I remember seeing an ad of his, and I never spoke to him in person. I just had interactions with him, and he just come over and so egotistical. And what do we know about ego? Yeah, it comes from absolute insecurity, right? If you're so secure and have so much self-worth in yourself, then you're never going to be an arrogant asshole to anybody else. You're not going to be. But he was. So the point was, then he run an ad. He created a course, and the ad was horrific. Why? Because he thought he was great on camera. And when this ad was there, it was terrible. He was on camera. He was the most boring person you can ever imagine. Even his voice was like this. Right? So I don't know why I'm dissing this guy. I don't diss anyone. But the point it was just amazing to see the arrogance through text, and then for him to actually come out into the public physically, and he just looks silly. He just looks so silly. And guess what? The ad disappeared. His course disappeared. Of course it did, right? And he went back to thinking he's awesome in his little box. But the truth is, that's terrible, because he's not helping anybody. He's not helping people. Like you right now, you might have more skills, less skills, but it doesn't matter. It's about being able to market it through novelty and uniqueness that people desire. People want the product, right? It solves a pain. It gives them a benefit. It creates a desire inside of them. That's the point. So when you come, the biggest thing with me is I really genuinely care. I care because of all the ups and downs and roller coasters I've had in my life, from 24 years old, leaving to Australia, becoming the top in 2 different countries in investment real estate, to bankruptcy, to rebuilding myself to be one of the top in the world for what I do right now. It's quite crazy to see that ride. But what that ride does, including martial arts, right? Getting hit in the head a lot definitely humbles you. But that's the point. It humbles you. So I know I'm not better than anybody else. I know that. I can only be the best I can be. I can be one of the best, not the best. Do you understand? So when you start understanding that, then you got to make sure that your information gets put out into the world the correct way. So branding becomes very important. Graphics become very important. Concepts become very important. The way you say the same thing, but through your filter, through your way, become massively important, right? How you communicate with your audience because you understand them becomes massively important. Does that make sense? So what am I saying? Be humble. Right? Understand that people like new and shiny. How you get your impact out and change the world is by understanding that, right? And you can then share your message with the world. But make sure that right now with your brand, is it being boring? I don't know. Are you following someone else's identity, not your own? I don't know, right? Are you being entertaining? I don't know. You are. You know. So look at it this way, right? If you have Hollywood and you have school teachers, who earns the most money? School teachers. No, I'm joking. Hollywood, right? So you've got to meet in the middle and create information and entertaining way. Then the more entertaining you can make the information, then the more you're going to earn. It's that simple, right? Makes sense? Like it? Good. We'll jump on to number 3. Okay, number 3. No drum roll this time. No drum roll. We'll wait for the last one. So number 3 is it goes in, besides the neuroscience and the brain and everything and everything that I speak about and teach, there is a secret source, and I have done podcasts around this, and I really believe it's frequency and energy. And it sounds so woo-woo for me to say that. It really does, but it's just we've all had these experiences and we all understand them and we all know what it's like, right? Why is a book, look at it this way, right? Why is a book that was wrote 100 years ago still popular? Well, the story's cool, but there's lots of cool stories. I really believe there's a harmonic or a frequency or a feeling that gets delivered through even words. When it's wrote, it's a feeling, right? There's a feeling to it. Some people are pulled to it, some people are not. But it's the same with audio, it's the same with video, it's the same with your product. I personally know I've released things in the past years ago and my vibration was in fear mode or scarcity, or I was going through something. But at the time with business partners, my vibration was well off. Did the product do well? No, it didn't. It didn't do well. And then I launched something else where I'm really excited and happy and take action with. And guess what? It does amazingly well. It's all about that. So you've got to really look at if you're sitting there creating a course, a product or a service, or you're launching a business, or you're scaling your business, or you're bringing on teams, or you're doing a merger, or you're raising funds, or you've got a new graphic designer, whatever level you are, it doesn't matter. We're just all human, right? We're all human trying our best. But when we understand that, what's the vibration, what's the energy, or what's the feeling that you're connecting with that product or service or team? Does that make sense? If it's the wrong one, I'll tell you from experience and seeing 10,000 clients over the years, well, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then you have to use manipulation or crazy tactics. There's my girl's just following a coach right now. This is like nothing special. Life coach. She just did $1 million day last week. $1 million day, no advertising. And I mean that, no paid advertising whatsoever. If you go on a website, you can't even buy any of her products. You cannot buy a single product, course, or service that she is selling. Think about that. But she did $1 million day the other day. And that's just a day, but she's doing a lot of money, right? So, and she's helping people. Her desire, her passion, and her energy is so aligned, so on point, that people are magnetized to it. They want it. Now, we can go into quantum physical reality there, and we can touch on entanglement. Sure, we can. We're not going to today, but we can. I've done it before. But I want you to understand that really, really, people resonate. People resonate. There is a frequency. People give off energy. It's weird stuff. Have you ever been around a high-level celebrity? They're not normal people in that moment. They're not. They're admitting something that is like light. And I don't mean light as in woo-woo, although we can definitely go down the woo-woo. Definitely go there. But it's like they're admitting a frequency that we are magnetized to. That's it. That's it. So I want you to make sure that everything that you're building now and right today, launching in the future, who you are around people, places, and things, is the right emotion. I teach this concept around when we're designing actual peak states. Peak states are the things that athletes step into when they're about to score a goal or whatever it is, right? It's also the same with entrepreneurs when we're sitting at our desk or we're on stage or we're doing a merger or whatever it is. So when you start to understand that who you are, you have to be the energy or the emotion that you want other people to feel. Does that make sense? Think about it. It's hard to close a deal if you're absolutely scared of closing a deal, right? And you don't believe in your product, and you know it's shit, right? And it's just going to hurt people, and you're scared of selling it, or there's incongruency there. Do you think you're going to sell it? Well, there's a certain percentage of people that are what we call laydowns. Laydown is someone statistically will always buy. They're at that time, they're looking for the thing, they've got the money, and you'll be it, right? But the rest of the people, we have to bring into the emotion that we want them to be in so they can get the result that they came here for. Most people and coaches and everybody else don't understand that. But when you do understand that, that's why your product and brand will work. Make sense? Awesome. Let's jump to number 4. Number 4. You're getting a drum roll. Number 4 is, it's social media. Now, it doesn't have to be social media, but it has to be something. How are people finding you? And this is the truth, right? If you are awesome on video, do awesome. Do video, right? Or be awesome. Do video, I should say. If you love writing and you're the best writer in the world, or not necessarily in the world, but you're pretty damn good and you love it, and you love to do it, right? Then guess what? Do written, right? If it's audio like this podcast, then you love it. Do audio, right? I love video. I love audio. I'm not the best writer, but I've learned to write. And what that means is then that becomes your own media outlet. Facebook and Instagram, I've given these platforms so much abuse in the past, meaning like, oh, social media, da 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 da. But at the end of the day, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook are amazing. They are. It's only not amazing if you're doing dodgy stuff on there or reading dodgy things, things that don't light you up, or you jump into the politics, or you jump on a bandwagon this way and that way. Understand that social media is 100% manipulating you in every aspect. If you haven't seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix, I'll say it again, The Social Dilemma documentary on Netflix, please go and watch it. Why? Well, why? Is that you will never, ever, ever, ever look at social media the same way again. You will never use it the same way again. I thought I understood what was going on, but until you watch this, you don't understand what's going on. It's tech companies, and they haven't been around that long, and they've taken over the world. And as an AI, literally, its whole job is to get you to stay on that screen. That's it. That's what it does. So it learns every behavioral pattern and every way your eye and finger is moving over that screen. And it learns you. So it gives you more of what you want. So you become like in a little confirmation bias bubble. Yeah, a confirmation bias bubble. That's a .com. That's a badass term. But when you start to understand that, then you go through the anger stage, you go through the I don't want to do this stage, and then you get to a point of going, you know what? Oh, stuff it, They can have my information, they've already got it. But what else is I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the platform, including Google, including YouTube, including, your own website. All of these are media platforms that you need to take control of. And when people don't take control of them, they've got one foot in, one foot out, guess what? Doesn't work. If you've got both feet in, then guess what works? Yeah, social media. Right? Or however marketing strategy or media platform that you want to use. TikTok. For some people, TikTok is booming. And it's different demographic to what it used to be. It's not everyone doing little wiggly dances on there anymore. No, it's big brands. And the advertising on there is supposed to be amazing. I know a guy who runs a massive TikTok agency with all the top guys. And it's incredible when you look behind the scenes and really see what's these numbers that these kids are doing. It's amazing. The outreach that these companies are having through TikTok. Incredible, right? So you have all of these other, like even Clubhouse. Clubhouse, I don't know. I think I think it got destroyed. I think it got destroyed by douchebag marketers selling to other douchebag marketers about how awesome they are. It's like, no offense to anything, but good Lord. It's like marketers selling to marketers about how awesome they are at marketing. Yeah, well, if that works for you and that's I've got it wrong, hey, I'm the first to admit that I get things wrong. If I did get that wrong and it's a badass platform, then cool, then use it. But what I'm here to say is take responsibility. Take ownership for your brand and understand that lead generation is a huge thing, and it comes from where? Yeah, it comes from where? Wherever you want it to. For me, what I'm launching, as I say, all of these brands, all these things I've told you about, they're going to be through Facebook, they're going to be through Instagram, they're going to be through paid traffic, and they're going to be from the Google. Yeah, they're going to be through Google, and that means connecting with YouTube ads, sure. But the first biggest thing I'm going to be doing is not using advertising, paid ads. Until I know that the market wants it, then I'm just not going to do it. Right? Because what's the point? It doesn't make sense to me. But you might disagree with that, and you've had massive success from the immediate go with ads. Then do it. But either way, what we're trying to say is that the social media aspect, well, just look, you can become your own media brand. That's it. So own it, be responsible for it, and go kick ass with it and enjoy it, right? Or do something else. Make sense? I hope so. Number 5. You're getting a drum roll. So number 5 is really the biggest thing. The classic saying is failure only happens when you stop, right? And that's not the classic saying, but it's my saying I just made up. But it's true, right? And failure only happens when you stop. And I really mean that. Because it was an interesting post the other day that somebody made on Facebook, and I really liked that. I respect the guy. And it was like, do true entrepreneurs ever retire? I had to think about that. And the answer for me is no, they don't. Because you're not trying to do anything. You're just doing it. You're always going to have creative ideas. Right? You're always going to see problems that you want to solve. You're always going to have networks that come up with concepts and ideas and want to do things with you. You always want to help people, man. Right? That's it. Does that ever end? I don't think so. I mean, even on his deathbed, Steve Jobs was still designing, signing off, and literally on his deathbed, he was still working. Why? Because he wanted to make sure that the brand or his concept kept helping people out into the world. And I believe Apple really has helped people. And so the biggest thing is that it's the biggest thing. And we need to get over it. We all need to get over it to every degree. You should not give a damn what anyone else thinks. I'll say it again, you shouldn't care. One more time, you shouldn't care what anyone else thinks. Why? Because who cares about them, right? Does that mean they've got the best product and service and they're doing the best? No, you don't generally get haters who are doing much better than you. If someone's doing much, much better than you, they probably admire what you're doing in the hustle. If someone's doing worse than you or doesn't understand what you're doing, they'll tend to put it down because of their own insecurity, their own jealousy. Does this make sense? Does it? I hope so. It's like we've all been through the experiences, as we've maybe transitioned away from our where we grew up, and maybe parents and those people that we grew up with have been watching you. If you run an online business or a business in general, I suppose, but an online business, and they just don't get it. They're used to going to work 9 to 5, coming home, doing this. They just don't get it. So what do? They try to pull you down because they don't understand it, and it scares them. It scares them from their own level of inadequacy, right? Their own level of low self-worth. So they don't understand it, so they pull you down. I remember it's back in the days, he's not my friend anymore, for sure. And I knew him since I was a kid. But you realize as you grow, I come back to the country, to the UK, and I'd realize I just didn't have anything in common with the guy, and he was poison. He was just bitter. You know what I mean? We all have those people. And I remember him saying to me, he goes, "You don't have a business." I said, "Okay, why don't I have a business?" He goes, "Because businesses have offices. Businesses have secretaries. Businesses have this. Businesses have that. You don't have any of that." And I said, "Okay, I have all of those things, and they're all virtual." This was going back quite a few years, right? Like maybe 8 years. And I've been doing this game for quite a while. So, 8 years ago. And he was like, "Yo, you don't. No, you don't." And I was saying, "Well, yes, I do, but either way, whatever. And it doesn't really matter what your opinion is. And it doesn't really matter if you think all of those things are required in a business, because they're not, for a start. They're not. You could be a solo rider doing everything, and it's still a great business, and you're earning great money, and you're creating a great lifestyle." So he's wrong in every aspect. And he's struggling now. Why? Because he pushed so many people away from his life because, again, of that insecurity and ego. So he would try to poison everyone around him rather than lifting everybody up. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. Would you want to be surrounded with people who are sad and broke? Would you want to be around people who are rich and happy? Well, just be happy, I suppose. If you're rich, it doesn't really matter to me. But rich and happy is great, because then you can travel, then you can play with each other, then you can like go and hang out and do cool stuff, right? And that's the point. So what I'm trying to say here is the only justification or decision that you should be making in your life, validation-wise, is from inside of you. These people on the outside, well, you can get their opinion, but they shouldn't dictate what you do. You can get their perspective, but it has nothing to do with your decision and take action, right? It has nothing to do with it. But at the end of the day, people stop because of fear. Yeah, fear they're not good enough, fear of success, fear of failure. And you'll find fear of success is actually way bigger than fear of failure from what I've seen. Fear of success means that you stepping into the unknown and you will be judged. You will be judged 100%, but who cares, right? Did you pull yourself into the future? And are you excited? Are you on a mission? Are you desiring the new? Are you willing to help? Are you on a mission for yourself? Then yeah. Then who cares, man? Who cares what anyone else thinks? So I want you right now, if you're expanding your business and you're worried about other people's opinion who are at the same level as you, then what's it got to do with them, right? If you are starting a business and worrying about starting a business, then who cares? Go and start it. You know, you'll probably start another 20 before you get to the right one anyway. So you might as well just give it everything you've got and put it out into the world. And that's really the truth. So hopefully that helped. Should we jump on to the last one, number 6? Yeah, let's do it. Number 6. We are definitely going to give a big drum roll for this one. Boom. So number 6 is, it's everything. It's absolutely everything. It really, really is. And it's all about mental mastery. That's the number one thing. I didn't want to start with it, but it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. All of these things I've shown you right now are tactics. Okay? Do we understand that? They're tactics. And tactics are massively important. They're huge. Without tactics, well, it might still work, but without tactics, we're not going to probably get to the speed of success that we want to. So, but success in the marketing world is defined as logical, tactical steps with a tiny little bit of mindset in. Mindset being think positive when you're struggling, things like that, right? It's fine, but it's not high level, right? It's not really high level anything. So when we understand this, everything changes. So what do I mean by mental mastery? Mental mastery is making sure that you can sit down at your desk and within 3 minutes drop it into a flow state, right? Where there's no noise, there's nothing going on but absolute precision and work, right? Would that be helpful? What about overwhelm? Right? If you've got so many projects or ideas on the go, do you know how to manage your brain to be able to focus on exactly what the next thing is, zero distraction, and being able to always take action? Do you know how to do that? Consistently every time. Would that be helpful, right? Would it be helpful to know what is automatically playing in the background of your mind or your subconscious or unconscious mind when you look at your business partner or the client or your future of what the business is going to be in 2 years, or your income streams, or being able to stop those patterns or programs or weights or heaviness or traumas that's happened to you in the past? If we could delete them, would this be helpful? Of course it would. Would it be helpful if anything that you decide to do, there is zero noise? And I don't mean like banging from construction, although that's important too. I mean zero noise in your head. So you're absolutely crystal clear on where you're going. And every day, the emotion behind it is absolute excitement, drive, passion, and you're taking action. That's mental mastery, right? And it doesn't just happen. You've got to understand that just like going to the gym, you get a personal trainer. What does a personal trainer do? Even if you are a badass in the gym already, what do? You got it. They hold you accountable, right? They push you past your boundaries. They show you techniques and tools that you might not have seen that are then going to absolutely explode what you're doing. Right? To get better results faster. If we could take what was taken 2 years and we could do it in 6 months, would that be helpful? Yeah, that's what a personal trainer does, right? But why would you think it's any different for your brain? Just because you've got a brain doesn't mean you know how to use it. Just because you've got a Ferrari doesn't mean you know how to drive it, right? Just because you've got an idea doesn't mean you know how to execute on it. Does this make sense? So it drives me crazy because the highest level people, they bring people in around them all the time. I have so many different clients, IPO clients, right? People, founders who go into IPO, go on the stock market. They've got people who are scaling a business from 300 million to a billion plus on an exit strategy. Do you think I teach these people business tactics? Not really. No, because I'm not a business coach. A business coach looks at analytics. They look at strategies. They look at how to tweak this, and this, and this, right? How to increase this by 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. What are the absolute analytics? That's what a business coach is. That's all a business coach is. A business coach is a normal coach or a mental performance coach like I am, or a mental performance trainer and expert and speaker. Well, guess what they're doing? We're not doing that. But the industry marketers, marketers have come along and taught and grabbed the concept business coach and turned it into all about being mental performance. They're not. They're two entirely different things, right? Two entirely different things. So when you start to understand this, mental mastery or mental performance is what I do. We are literally designing the patterns of how you want to perform, designing the habits, designing the flow states, designing the vision, designing how to interrupt and stop these patterns, designing how you can communicate with your team and who you are at the highest level, designing to make sure that you are in the correct role and your team and your organization is organized, right? And it's in flow. You get the idea, right? What belief? How do we switch off the amygdala or the fight response? How do we drop into different brainwaves and tactics? How do we use NLP at the highest level? How do we do neuroscience at the highest level? You get the idea. How do we use brainwaves? How do we use all of these things that I teach for the highest level, including world champions, right? So does that sound different? Yeah, it sounds different. This is the biggest part, because you can have all the skill sets in the world, but you're going to hit constant boundaries as you expand. We're going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4 in a computer game. Do you have to upskill each level? Yeah, you have to upskill each level. Otherwise, what happens? Yeah, the baddie or the boss kills you, and you have to redo the level. Why would you think for any aspect that's different with your brain? Just because you got a brain doesn't mean we know how to use it, right? It's plain and simple. So when you understand that difference, then skill set's absolutely important. That's what a business coach is for. Mental performance is how we train our brain or condition our brain, or my concept is neuro-conditioning, how to condition the brain and the nervous system to respond, not react, whereas it steps into the unknown or expands, right? That's what I do. So that's how I bring people from 5 figures to 6, 7, 8, 9 figures. That's how I move people from $1 million to $65 million in the same year without teaching them one single business strategy. That's what I do, right? So that's a big difference, and it is the number one thing that you have to master. Plain and simple. So there you go, crew. That's number 6. Number 6. What does that mean? Well, we've come to the end of episode 3, 2, 1. I love that 3, 2, 1 because when I do trance work and hypnosis with people, 3, 2, 1. I love it, right? So, and that's, by the way, that's my secret sauce to all of it, playing with the unconscious mind. But yes, hopefully you got stuff out from that today. You might be the brand new listener, and if you are a new listener, then welcome. It's always awesome to have a new listener. And I want you to use this podcast very differently from most of the others. What does that mean? I want you to use it like a library. Yeah, where you go back, you look at topics, and you can build your own like mini sessions, basically, right? And then when you're ready, you jump into one of my programs, etc., etc. But they're all in the show notes. They're all in the show notes. And speaking of the show notes, make sure that you're heading over there now. Why? Well, a few different reasons. One, grabbing your free gifts. And they're gifts, yeah, but they're tools. So they're free tools. Go and make sure that your mornings and your unconscious mind is dialed in every single morning. Do that for free in the Fire Mind Morning. What else? Go and grab your Total Control Blueprint book. How to stop grinding and step into flow instantly. Guess where it is? It's there, waiting for you to go and grab it. And speaking of grabbing it, make sure that you're hanging out with me in the Andy Murphy Mindset group on Facebook. Actually, just type in Andy Murphy Mindset on any platform. You'll find me, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is, you're going to find me. And one more thing, yeah, make sure that you write me a review. If you've never wrote me a review for this podcast, come on. iTunes makes it really strange, is that you've got to do it from your laptop. I don't know why when everyone listens to the podcast on your phone. But anyway, if you can do that for me, I would love you. iTunes and Apple loves me, so I can keep helping more and more people. So do that for me now. And speaking of that, do it for yourself. Take action now. So what else? Well, have an amazing week. Much love. And until the next time, why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.